Hello, friends. In the modern world, people are often rather prejudiced towards grizzly bears. Thanks to their portrayal in many movies, a lot of people see them as nothing but evil killers, only capable of causing pain and suffering. However, there are situations when these bears show themselves in a slightly different light, which is inconsistent with the opinion of the majority. The main character of our story today had a chance to see that not all bears are merciless predators, incapable of remembering good or bad due to their low intelligence. Today's story happened in the northwest part of the U.S. state of Wyoming. A young tourist disappeared in the forests of this marvelous region. Her absence was reported by a friend who hadn't seen her for 2 days and was extremely alarmed. Search parties combed the area, square after square. Imagine the rescuer's surprise when the woman was finally found, and not just anywhere, but in a bear den. Moreover, there wasn't a single scratch on her body, and she didn't look the least bit scared. At the same time, fresh bear footprints were found next to the den, which suggested that its owner was wandering somewhere nearby. What the woman shared later made the rescuer's hair stand on end. According to the tourist, the bear had saved her from the attack of her ruthless spouse, who'd come up with a cruel plan to get rid of her. The fact was that the woman's husband invited her on a walk in the forest to spend some quality time together. But after the couple went deeper into the forest, the man attacked his wife. The missing tourist recently became a wealthy heiress, having inherited millions after her parents died in a car crash. That was the reason behind her husband's decision to get rid of her, to get his hands on the inheritance. Fortunately, the man never managed to implement his plan because a huge grizzly bear came to the woman's rescue. It's hard to say where the predator came from, but there was no doubt that it was the animal's intervention that saved the woman's life. The man got scared of the huge bear and chose to flee, disappearing into the nearest grove in just a couple of seconds. The most surprising part, however, was the fact that the bear didn't show any aggression towards the woman. The huge bear rubbed its muzzle against the tourist's hands and behaved as if it had already known her. Since it was getting dark, the woman had to spend the night in the bear's den, while the predator itself wandered off somewhere and hadn't come back since. The tourist had to spend about 2 days in the den before the rescuers found her. After the woman reported the attack, her husband was detained and taken into custody. However, everyone was wondering about the reason behind the bear's attitude towards the woman. Fortunately, the rescued woman knew the answer to this question. As it turned out, the woman had already been to this part of the woods 7 years ago. She was there with her grandfather, who worked as a ranger, protecting the forest and its inhabitants. One day, the grandfather happened to save a bear cub whose mother was shot by poachers. The man and his then 17-year-old granddaughter fed the cub and gave it a name, Teddy. When the bear cub got stronger, it ran away from the ranger's house, frightened by the barking of the neighbor's dog that broke off its chain. The ranger and his granddaughter decided that the bear cub had died in the forest, but as the events of the last 2 days showed, they were wrong. Sure, one could question whether it really was the same bear that was rescued by the ranger 7 years ago that became the unwitting savior of the rich heiress, but this discussion could go on forever without ever getting a definite answer. But one thing we can be sure of, bears, just like people, remember both good and bad equally well, and therefore, they will always repay people for the way they treat them. Friends, that's all for today. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.